Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our technical assistance chat. And today's chat is going to be a model school demonstration for our 2024-2025 model school application process. So we're so glad that you could join us today. And Nicole Fintel is our guru on the model school process and application, and she's going to be walking you through everything that you need to know for this year. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nicole.
Thank you, Betsy. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us to talk about model schools. This is our agenda for today. We're going to be very briefly reviewing prerequisites, requirements for the 24-25 Model School Awards. I'm going to be demonstrating the school application process within the PBSES Model School web pages, followed by the district coordinator recommendation and how DCs can monitor schools going through the model school process this year. And then finally, we're going to end our session today with some Q&A for anything related to 24-25 model schools. And just a little background for those who maybe weren't part of Florida PBIS model schools before this year. The FLPBIS model school system is our state level recognition system for celebrating schools across Florida who are implementing PBIS with high fidelity and are achieving positive outcomes. So the system is set up to encourage schools to collect and use data. And every year it has evolved to match progress that we're seeing and to further PBIS systems development that is happening. And there are prerequisites for schools to be eligible to apply for a model school award. These are the prerequisites for the current school year. So first, the school must be active with the Florida PBIS project. That just means that we've trained you all in Tier 1 and you're recognized by our project as an active implementer of PBIS. The next big thing is that the schools have to submit some evaluation data that are outlined here. That includes the PBIS implementation checklist, or the PIC, which schools were asked to complete over in the fall. And then currently we have schools that are working on the benchmarks of quality, or the BOQ, to assess fidelity at Tier 1, and the Tiered Fidelity Inventory, or TFI, which we use to assess fidelity in Florida at Tiers 2 and 3. We also have the PBIS Tier 1 walkthrough, which is a tool completed by an external reviewer, such as a district coordinator, who goes into the school and kind of walks through and confirms the implementation that's occurring. And then there are a few requirements within those. So schools have to report at least an 80% on the BOQ and a 60% on the walkthrough. And there are no minimum scores for the TFI this year. And then finally, schools are required to complete all portions of our outcome data summary, or ODS, to be eligible for a model school. That includes providing school enrollment data this year, not just updating, but providing school enrollment data, information about attendance and number of students receiving discipline events, as well as total discipline events that are disaggregated by student race, ethnicity, and disability status. In addition to that, schools are not going to be eligible unless they report they will not be eligible if they report extraordinarily high rates of student referrals and suspensions. So their overall rates of referrals and suspensions also has to be below a state median rate that we identify. And then the final two prerequisites here are all about district support. So district coordinators have to work with our project to ensure that their district team has participated in a recent yearly implementation planning meeting, or YIP was what we call it with the project. And that's just one way that one criteria for schools receiving continued support. And finally, schools must be recommended by their district coordinator to receive a model school award. So DCs, by making this recommendation, you're agreeing that the data that were submitted by the schools are accurate and that that school is implementing PBIS with fidelity. So once all of those school has met all of those prerequisites, they'd be able to access our online model school application in our PBSES website to complete and submit. And this system is going to be open from June 18th through September 1st. And this is just a full timeline of what I was talking about, when evaluation data are available to submit. So we're currently in the middle of our end year cycle. Schools are able to submit now through June 15th, their BOQ and TFI. as well as a walkthrough. And then after the last student day of school, the ODS or outcome data summary will open for all schools to complete. So for the 24-25 school year, we're going to be recognizing 3 levels of Model School Awards. For a Bronze Award, schools must meet all of those prerequisites that I kind of went over briefly. That just demonstrates that they're implementing Tier 1 with high fidelity and reporting low discipline rates. For Silver Awards, schools must also, in addition to the bronze criteria, report disaggregated outcome data that shows no significant disproportionality for any of their student subgroups. And then finally, we're going to have for our Gold Award this year, schools must meet the Silver criteria as well as demonstrating sustained Tier 1 implementation and positive outcomes for at least 2 years. And that is a newer award criteria that we are using for this current school year. So we have a lot of resources to help schools understand the different prerequisites and criteria. All of the things I've showed you so far today are linked to on the slide. That includes the timeline that I pulled up, general list of prerequisites and criteria, as well as a little practice form where you can go in and kind of practice your application before it becomes available on the website. As well as resources to help understand like the minimum outcome criteria, the new gold level criteria for sustained implementation, things like that. And then I also hosted a separate TA chat. This was back in October that really went through all of those prerequisites and application criteria a little bit more in depth. So if you have specific questions about criteria for this school year, I'd recommend checking out that TA chat. And then we have a lot of general resources available to schools and districts to help with their evaluation data, including some briefs on how to submit data, how to use our different evaluation tools, and how to navigate the system. So that's all linked to within our various live binders. And I know Betsy's put in the chat the handouts for today if you wanted to check them out. But the rest of our session is actually going to focus on the actual application process that's within our evaluation system, or PBSES. And this flowchart gives you an overview of what that application process is. So once all of those different data pieces have been entered online and we've determined your school's eligibility, then the application will open up in the same location in PBSES to allow district coordinators to submit their recommendations. The system will be open for recommendations throughout the entire period, but schools can only access and submit their application once they receive a recommendation from their district coordinator. And so once that recommendation has been submitted, then schools will be able to access and complete their application in PBSES. Once submitting the FLPBIS project, we're going to finalize and provide notification of awards. And this is the second year in which model school application process is going to be fully integrated into our PBSIS evaluation system, which is called PBSES. We used to have 2 different portals where you could submit data in one and then apply for model schools in a different website. But everything now is fully integrated together in the PBSES. So the next part of today's TA chat, I'm actually going to pull up our website and show you what the application looks like and what the different pages are that you're going to have available. So I'm going to be starting by walking through a school application process. So this will show, sorry, I'm going to show you how schools can look at their prerequisites and eligibility data, how you can complete an application, how you can view your submitted application, receive your final award, and how you can access your model school certificate and ribbon. So this first part of my demonstration is just going to be focused on the school activities, and then I'm going to dive into some district coordinator stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and log into PBSES. Just one second. And again, to access PBSES, you'll, from our homepage, you click on the PBSES evaluation and model schools right here, where you can get to our login page. I'm actually going to be using a slightly different URL with you today. So this is a little bit different than what you will access the day of. And that's because I'm going to be demonstrating our test website. So this stuff is not available yet. It will become available when Model School window opens up. So I'm going to log in here as a school. I select my school access type. And then I'm going to start with what schools want to know first, which would be, are we eligible for a model school award? So in order to review current eligibility, schools can navigate to the school eligibility check, and that's all going to be under the model schools dropdown here. So under model schools, under schools, go to school eligibility check. So this page here is going to show all of the data-based prerequisites and criteria associated with each award level, and which criteria your school met or did not meet, as well as the level for which your school is eligible to apply. What this page will not show yet is the district specific criteria. So that DC recommendation and the YIP participation, that's something that's not available yet on this page. Most of these items will update in real time. So as your school is submitting your end of year data and they are available in PBSES, you'll see if you're meeting those criteria. However, the one note I wanted to make related to the low ODR and OSS rate criteria. So right here for bronze, we determine if a school reports a rate that's below 1.5 times the state median based on their school type. And we can't calculate those median rates until all schools have submitted their data, and we can do some data cleaning to look at that. So even if you submit your outcome data summary, you might have met this criteria here. This will show up as not met until we've calculated those rates and determined if your school fell above or below our threshold for model school requirements, prerequisites. So around June 18th, when the application opens, that's when you'll be able to see if you have met those criteria specifically. All right, you're seeing a lot of not met, ineligible, because I'm looking at a test school right now. This isn't real data, but once let's just assume that the school met eligibility for a bronze award, and they want to go ahead and now complete their online application. So they'll go access their application under model schools again, under schools, and then submit application. So the application is divided into 3 main sections. This first page will show again the eligibility criteria. In the real website, this will look very similar to the last page I showed you. Here is just another way you can verify the award criteria that you met and which award you are eligible to apply for. So again, this school is eligible for a bronze award. I'm going to verify that I've met all of the bronze requirements right here. I've been recommended for bronze by my district coordinator, and then I'll go ahead and click next. So clicking next brings you to the contact information page. And this is where you're gonna provide contact details for the person who's completing the application. So it's important to note that all email communications that come from our project to our model schools is going to go to the email that is shared here in this application. We've also included some optional fields here where you can put in your social media links for your school, specifically the school social media. So we're not looking for district links here, but if your school happens to have a Facebook or a LinkedIn page, you can provide it here. If you provide this information, we're going to tag you in some congratulatory posts from the Florida PBIS project social media accounts. So if you don't provide it, you may miss the opportunity to be featured in those shout outs that we post on social media. All right, so clicking next here will bring you to the final section of the application. And this is specific to the level for which you're applying. So right now I'm showing you a bronze application. Because it's a bronze award, this school is going to be prompted to share, zoom in, a description or a resource that they feel contributed to their success at Tier 1 and their overall low rates of discipline. This section of the application is actually optional for all of the model schools who are applying. But if you do want to share something like a resource or a narrative or something, then it is possible that your school would be featured in a Florida PBIS newsletter, a TA chat such as this, social media posts, or other formats where we kind of give shout outs to schools who are implementing and sharing unique and exciting ways of implementation. So if you did share something here, there's the potential that you could be highlighted. So once you put in any description, you can select a file to upload as well as the type of resource that you're sharing here. Once you're satisfied with your response, they could go ahead and click submit for their bronze application. See a chance to verify that you're ready to submit. It's just letting you know that the emails were sent out, and then you'll see the screen that looks like this, that you have successfully submitted your application. After your submission, you can also view the application directly in the PBSCS system. So I recommend doing that just to make sure and verify again that the submission was received. If you go to the submit application page again, you'll see now I no longer have the next button down here, but I actually have a new button here for me to view my submitted application. So if I had provided a resource or a narrative, you'd be able to see that here and download that. In addition to verifying on that location, you can go to the application search page. And now that school will see that they have a submission available to look at. So once you submit, this table will be populated. It has your submission date, has the award level that you applied for, and you can again view your application, a PDF of your application here. In addition to all of that, you'll have, I'll pull back my PowerPoint. Once you apply, you will receive an email notification. So this will be sent to, again, that contact that you put into your application. You'll receive a notification that the application was received, as well as a PDF attachment of what you submitted. Additionally, the district coordinator will also be CC'd in these email communications so that they're kept in the loop. I think I went through. Yeah, so I went through all of the verifying that your submission went through. Once the Florida PBIS project reviews your application, which there are no specific criteria in submitting the application, so we're just going to do a quick read through of what is submitted, and we'll verify and approve that level. So once that's approved, you'll receive an email that looks like this, congratulating you on becoming a model school. And you'll have attached to this your model school certificate and your digital ribbon, as well as a link to the Florida PBIS Model Schools Media Toolkit. So that contains just some templates and some sample language that you can use to help publicize and celebrate your Model School Award. In addition to the email notification, that same table that I showed you from the application search page will also be updated to show you that the award was finalized, as well as the ability to view the final certificate and ribbon will be available there. That's just another way to access and share the recognition materials, and that will be available over time. So you can look at previous school years and get your certificate and ribbons for those school years as well. And I mentioned that all schools will receive that certificate and the digital ribbon. So just some ideas, you're encouraged to use your digital ribbons and other materials to kind of promote your recognition. Some schools add these to their social media. They might include them in email signatures on their school website and newsletters, or other types of school communications that go out. So that's just one idea, one way to showcase all the work that you're putting into your PBIS implementation and that you've been recognized through Florida PBIS Model Schools. And what I showed, I think I skipped over it. I showed you the bronze application. If you're applying for a silver or a gold award, it'll look very similar to that. The only real difference is in that final level specific section. So in the bronze section, I talked about how the prompt is asking you to share some of the strategies for your tier 1 implementation and how you've realized your low discipline rates. For the silver application, the prompt is going to be tailored to that criteria, asking for any kind of examples or resources that you believe contributed to your reduced disproportionality or your enhanced engagement of your partners. So students, families, community members, to ensure that your PBI systems were experiencing proportionate outcomes for your students. So these can include tools or strategies to involve families, again, how you involve students in your PBIS implementation, examples of how you reviewed disaggregated discipline data. And just like the bronze section, this is completely optional, but any resources shared might be highlighted by a project. And similarly, the gold, this is a kind of a snapshot of what a gold level application would look like in that section 3, and it's focused on your sustained implementation and continued improvement. So these applicants are prompted to share any description or resource that they feel demonstrated how they've maintained their strong tier 1 implementation over time. So how you've used school-wide data to guide ongoing decision-making. Examples could be your internal systems for reviewing your data over time, long-term action planning tools, or other strategies or coaching to support your staff each year. And again, as with both bronze and silver, this section is optional, but if you choose to share a resource, it could be something that we highlight. Sorry for skipping around. I just wanted to show what all three award level applications would look like, as well as other functions that you could do as a school to review your eligibility and make sure your application is submitted. The next part of my demonstration was going to be on what district coordinators can actually do in the model school application. But before I moved on to that, I wanted to pause and see if any school folks were on the line, if you had any specific questions about the criteria I shared or about the different pages in submitting an application. Any questions yet? Okay.
Hi. Hey, are you able to hear me?
I can, yes.
Hey, I was looking at the school eligibility check and says the very first line says submit mid-year 1 PBIS implementation checklist by December 1st. Is that referring to the fall implementation checklist?
Yes, sorry, that is the fall pick.
So then my question is, why is the deadline there December 1st, but under the school data where we download or where we upload that, it closed on December 7th?
That was, so the deadline was December 1st. It had that deadline and it actually, let me pull it up real quick. Actually, this is the demo website, so it's probably not going to have the accurate data. So it was extended online for folks who wanted to submit their data after the deadline, just so that they have those data available to them, but they aren't necessarily going to meet the model school criteria. So it originally did close on December 1st. We had some requests for folks to submit late data, so it was opened back up for that with the understanding that they would not meet model school criteria.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So that was also a concern of mine regarding that question as well, because a lot of our schools, when we received the email about the extension, it didn't say anything regarding if they did not meet that December 1st deadline. So we were under the impression that because of the hurricanes, this extension also included that they would not be affected if they make that December 6th or December 7th deadline. So that's why now we are a little confused, because our schools, you know, based on that email that we got about the extension, we were under the impression that extension also meant that the schools would not be penalized if they did not meet that December 1st deadline, because we gave our schools that extension.
Correct. So now we're in the same boat as you. So now none of our schools are going to be eligible, and we had model schools last year.
Yeah.
Well, I don't believe we issued an extension this year. I thought that was the previous school year where we had an extension of the PIC for December 31st. I don't
No,
remember.
I have the email right here where we got an email saying that because of the hurricane, the PIC was extended.
Okay, I'll go check that out just to, if that was the case, if it was an official extension, I will, make sure it's reflected there. Um, yeah, no, if you received an extension because of the hurricanes from the Florida PBIS project,
Yes.
then that will definitely be something we, work into the model school eligibility.
Yes, Nicole, I also did go in and look, and there was an email from the project. It's hard, we we have had so many hurricanes in the past couple of years. It's hard to keep straight which years we get extensions. But I think we'll go back and
Okay, I
review
apologize
that. And
for that.
yeah, no, it's okay. It's hard to keep up with that kind of stuff, but
I remember
just-
last year we extended it an entire month from hurricanes, so that's where my head was going. But yeah, yes, I will definitely. I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that up, Selena.
I was just gonna say thank you, ladies, because our schools,
Yeah.
we would have been in trouble. And I'm
Oh
like,
no,
my
I'm sorry for
God. So
causing
thank
any
you.
there. That was
Thank
completely
you.
my fault.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions about the school application so far? All right, I'm gonna go ahead now and talk about district coordinators. Okay, so we've walked through the application process from the school's perspective. So now district coordinators can do everything that a school can do that I just showed you. They have all those same school pages, but then they also have some additional district level functions that they could do to support schools through that process. So that involves tracking submissions, accessing data around their applications and awards, and other ways to stay informed about how their schools are doing and submitting their applications. So I'm going to go ahead now, go back to my login here and log in as a district coordinator for my test district here. So one of the key ways that a district coordinator can support their schools is, again, by monitoring eligibility, and already talking about doing that with the PIC. So it's just like what an individual school can do in their eligibility check. District coordinators have the district eligibility check here. That again will also be updated with any extensions for the PIC here. And just like, again, just like individual schools, they'll be able to access the data, but for every school in their district. So this will show them what schools are eligible for an award, which criteria they met or did not meet, and then make sure you scroll over here to see it because there's a lot of rows here. But you'll see again, as well as what school, what award level they're eligible to apply for. In addition to monitoring eligibility, district coordinators can also provide recommendations that are essential to allow their schools to move forward in accessing the application. So to provide your district coordinator recommendation, you'll go to district recommendations here. And then you'll pull up a list of all eligible schools in your district. As from this view, you'll be able to select over here in your recommendation column. You'll be able to access a drop-down and actually submit your recommendations. So you'll do this for all of the schools. Once you save these changes, schools will now be able to access their applications. The district recommendation page is not just for submitting your recommendations, it's also a useful tool for monitoring progress of your schools. So this is one location where you can see all of your schools who are eligible, identify which ones have been recommended, and you're able to track here. There's a submission date. You'll see which schools have submitted who are eligible. So just this afternoon, we went ahead and submitted for this test school 1, so you can go ahead and see that date listed there. Another place that you might access to monitor application submissions is through that same application search page. So it looks very similar. This is similar to what the school can see, but you'll have, there'll be a row entry in here for all of the schools in your district who've submitted an application. So in this view, you'll be able to see the school name, the date submitted, the level they applied for. You'll be able to view their application. And then once their application is finalized, you'll also be able to look at their certificate and their ribbon here. So I'm gonna pull up the slide so you can see what it looks like when it's finalized. So here's kind of the view. Once it's finalized, you'll be able to see the actual certificate and the ribbons, and you can download them as a district coordinator for all schools in your district. And finally, you're CC'd on that email communications that are sent out to model school applications. So that same email, when a school submits an application, you'll get something that looks like this. And then once that application has been finalized, you'll receive another email just letting you know what level that school has been finalized for.
So Nicole, you do have some questions in the chat. I was trying to answer a couple of direct
Okay.
messages, but I'm going to go back and take a look. Who do you have to ask to see if you received an extension? Oh, okay. So that's probably for that pick.
Yeah, and I think that if an extension was, I think that was for all schools. It's not specific to any district. So all schools received an extension of, I guess, the 7th for the pick. So I will go back and make sure that's updated. Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the chat because it's minimized for me right now.
Oh, it's okay. I've got it for you.
Okay.
We also had a question from Francine. Hi, Francine. She asked if you can see the attachments, like when schools submit attachments with their application, will we be able to see those?
Yes,
Or
you
the
will.
DC?
They will be. I should have actually submitted an attachment in my example, but when you view the application at the top right here, see how it says no uploaded documents found. If there was a document, you'd be able to download them right here. And they're also going to be in the emails and things like that as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And then there was a question, I wasn't really sure did you mention anything about a end of year survey?
An end of year survey?
Yes. Does the PBIS end of year survey apply to all PBIS model schools? I wasn't sure what that might be.
Can you, whoever asked that question, can you provide a little bit more information? Because I'm not sure what the end of year survey is referring to.
Oh, I think it must be something at the district, from their district. So you'll need to talk to your district coordinator. That might be something that your district in particular is doing. But that's not a requirement from our project. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Okay, I see the chat now. There was a question about the YIP date. So I think that is a lock date. So there has to have been a YIP completed within, I think it's a year and a half. And so we will run that and determine eligibility on June 15th for those districts or for those schools. If there is an issue, feel free to talk to your TA. Maybe we could talk it through to see if there's anything we can do, if there's something that came up that is stopping your district from meeting that criteria. Any other questions?
I'll make sure I didn't miss anything. I think you've got everything so far.
Is there anything else you'd like to see? That I was maybe kind of running through everything really fast to make sure that we covered everything, but if there's anything else you'd like to see or want me to come back to, I can do that too. As we talked about, I will, so application feedback as a district, when you log in, you'll still see that. There's not any review that's going to include feedback this school year. So if you click on that, you won't see the 24-25 school year in the drop down because we're not, that was tied to the advanced tiers. You can see up here when we were recognizing them last year. So that's still available for you to see previous school year feedback. And then in the future, if that's introduced, you'll be able to see feedback on this page. But for this school year, that's not a page that you'll have to use too much. A new PBIS coordinator, do we have to submit our own discipline data at the end of the year, or is it automatically pulled from Focus? So I'm assuming, Katie, that you're from a school and that you're a school PBIS coordinator, and yes, you'll have to submit in our website where same place that you submit BOQ data, there's going to be the outcome data summary right here. And that's where you're going to submit your school discipline data. It's not pulled from Focus. But can you let me know maybe what district you're from? Because we do have some districts who district coordinators will pull the data for all of their schools. So I can let you know if you're from one of those districts.
Volusia.
I haven't heard back from Volusia, so I'm not sure, but I would maybe just recommend checking in with your district coordinator to determine if she would like you to submit outcome data summary, or if that's something that the district coordinator is going to submit for you all.
Nicole, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is Mandy. I'm the district coordinator from Volusia. And yes, our IT department pulls it for all schools.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you. No problem.
And Osceola, if Lakeisha, if you're still with us, you have someone from Osceola that was wondering too if the data would be pulled for them or if they're pulling their own data, discipline data. And I'm checking to see if she's still here. I think she may have left, but your Joseph, your district coordinator is Lakeisha, and she is, I don't think she's still on the chat, but I'll direct message you her information so you can ask her.
I think historically Osceola has not submitted a district spreadsheet.
Yes, and Leroy Smith is also from Osceola and said that you pull your own data. But if you have any questions about it, please reach out to Lakeisha and she can help.
Right, any other questions about the data requirements or how to submit an application? Okay, well, I think I'll go ahead and wrap us up then. We're really appreciate all the work that you're doing. I hope that today helped to give you a clearer picture of how this model school process will look like and function.